honorable ministers, my colleagues. The first question is on the MOU signed by Federal Inland Revenue Service. First of all, I appreciate Nigerian for the interest we all have now in taxation, which is the civil responsibility of all eligible citizens. And thanks to the National Assembly for the passage of the new tax act that we have. And like I said, tax is a technical area. It's not what everybody purely understand at the first instance. The word MOU is just simple. If you look at the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, the section, you said part of our duty is to collaborate with all international tax agencies because you have what we call transfer pricing. You have international tax department in Nigeria Revenue Service or Federal Land Revenue Service as it were today. So having arrangements, which is just capacity building with the peer revenue service around the world, it is normal because the world is now a global village. And I give you, for example, today I have Shell, I have Total, their headquarters is in France. They send people to Total Nigeria, and we here in Nigeria, they bill them here in Total that their salary is 200 or whatever, 200,000. The salary we pay them as cost here is their revenue over there. So if they do transfer pricing and they try to overstate expenditure just to dodge tax here and understate their own there, without collaboration with them, how do you have all those things? So the collaboration is just purely normal arrangements that happen. And it's not only with France. We have with HMRC, like any other agencies internationally would have with all others. Now, just to put it in perspective, because I read about people concerned, even within Nigeria, the confidentiality of tax matter, nobody has right to take other person's tax data except with court order, valid court order, even here within Nigeria. Talk less of releasing tax data to any country is not allowed. And that is, tax data is like medical reports. It is not what you share with anybody. And that is why you see in Nigeria Revenue Service, the use of consultant, the use of all those things is not allowed, because you cannot release the data of individual taxpayer to another person. So the real work has to be done by Nigeria Revenue Service staff. So when people talk about what the MOU and what we've done, it is just purely normal operational exercise.
Okay.
That is done everywhere in the world.
I saw training in it.
Yes.
They will come over here to train some of
the components are three. You have your expenditure component, you have your revenue component, and you have your loan component for every revenue. You made mention now that based on MTEF, the revenue is 40 trillion, but the expenditure is 58 trillion. What that means, even for a single year budget operation, is that even if you meet the whole 40 trillion, but the expenditure side is 58, and you've not had opportunity to get all your loan, despite you've met all your revenue, that does not mean you will pay all, because the component of budget include the loan that you may not have access to. That is one. And that is assuming that you are just operating a one-year budget. You've all mentioned here today that we have 2024. We are in 2025. But you have 1 year revenue. Use it to manage 2-year budget. So even if you met the 1 year revenue, how will you hear the Honorable Minister say, I'm paying 2024. Whereas you are taking 2025 revenue to pay 2024. So when Mr. President said, when we said, because as of the work we've all done, that we've met revenue target, which is annually, but you are using 1 year revenue to manage more than 1 year budget. That is why you are seeing the outstanding. and which is what Honorable Minister is trying to do, that now let's have a consolidated budget. So because if I have 1 year revenue, let me use it to manage 1 year expenditure. But in a situation that I have a year revenue to manage multi-years revenue expenditure, we will continue to have this imbalance. And that is the essence of what we are doing now. Now, when you talk about 70%, whatever, it's just semantics. When they say 70% of the work, anywhere in the world, when year ends, anything you've not done in the budget, if you think it's useful in your new year, you move it. So it's not I'm carrying over, I want to buy a car this year, but my expenditure cannot cover my car. By the end, if I need that car next year, I will put it in my plan. But I will not say I put car last year, and this year again, I want to buy house. And in the same one revenue, I will be pursuing buying car and building house. I can't balance. So when they talk about moving, it's not about moving over. It is normal, because that is what we do in our personal life. That is what we do in businesses. And if government wants to succeed, it's the same way. And that is why we are going back into that. Because budgeting, as we all know, is estimate, is law. But when year ends, anything that has not been achieved or done, if there is any need to do it, we move it to next year. Is without anything, but keeping it, hoping it, and that is why we have this disparity. So going to the performance this year, with the help, and as Honorable Minister has said, I am 100% with him in the projection that we've had and what we need to look for. The revenue is divided into two, oil and non-oil. Oil is majorly external because the production, the price, and everything is not what anybody can do within. We don't control the price, and then the production, the way they are. But the one that really tests the viability and diversity of our economy is non-tax, which is to collection and everything that we have. And as at the last check, we are, to meet our target for the year, we need to do 16% more than what we did last year. As at the last check, we've done 30%. So we are trending in meeting the non-oil revenue, because that is what you actually test the viability of any economy. And then going to the new year projection, the Honorable Minister budget, DG budget, the FEC, they've approved as the revenue collecting agency. I don't set target for myself. It is what flows from fiscal, from MTEF. They give me target to go and do. So on the target, I cannot talk to that. It is what my boss is, what they told us that we'll go and do on that. So if there is any question, I'm here to answer. Thank you very much.
Before any question, you know, we usually give you a target. You give us your projection. In 2025, you told us what you will make. And we told you, no, this is what we want you to face. The submission you made is to budget office.
Yes.
Now, the Committee on Finance at an interactive session is asking,
yes,
what is your projection for 2026?
And that is what I'm saying. Okay, for just to put it in perspective, for 2024, we did 20.2 trillion. And here, for 2025, the target you gave us is 25.2 trillion. And then the projection for 2026 is 31 trillion.
We should be looking at 35 trillion. Thank you. Any question from my colleagues for the FIRS chairman? Any question for the FIRS chairman? Customs? You are not sure? So who is here? Because he said he is unavoidably absent. So who is representing him? No, who is the most senior? Who is the senior? So introduce yourself and what your projection is for revenue again in 2026. Well, it's good to tell us because FIRS chairman will be here to hear you well.
Good afternoon, Chairman, distinguished senators. The 2025 projected revenue for MPA was 1.2 trillion naira, and we've so far generated 1.2 trillion in the year 2025 by October. And the projected for 2026 is 1.4 trillion naira. Our projection for 2026 is 1.4 trillion naira. Sir. Yeah. 1.4 trillion naira.
Only?
No, so we have, that is an increase of over, so the performance for 2025 is 1.2 trillion, which was what was also targeted at. Now we are increasing that to 1.4 trillion for 2026.
So MP, I believe we should be expecting at least 2 trillion from you.
Well, it depends on the challenges that we are facing and our resolve to solve them, like the issues of technology, improvement of the aging infrastructures, which we have already graciously been given approval by federal government to do. So we are modernizing the port. As soon as the modernization picks up by first quarter of next year, then we'll begin to see that we can receive bigger vessels into Nigeria. That is the idea.
MPA and MPA MD and the executive chairman FIRS
will also be linked to single window. So it's part of what we are putting plan together to get done. And part of it is to have the national scanning policy that will soon bring, it will be part of what improvement I will bring when we are doing the re-budget defense. Because when we have the national scanning, not only it solves our security problem, it also protects all our assets. And we can now get effective charges and levies from all what is coming into the country and what is leaving the country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Is Nimasa here?
Distinguished Chair, Vice Chair, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the invitation to be here. Those questions are critical. Our ministry is an enabler, first and foremost. Under item number 7 of the Renewed Hope Agenda, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment coordinates the generation of investment, the trade policy, and industrial policy for Nigeria. Those two questions you mentioned are pertinent and relate to what the chair of FIRS mentioned in terms of the new consolidation that the National Assembly graciously passed in terms of the new tax architecture legislation. First of all, with the free zones, we've been engaging over the last year through a FEC subcommittee chaired by the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, a complete review of the free zones architecture with OXFA and NEPSA, and making sure that the enterprises are compliant with the new tax regulations. Only 25% of commodities produced or goods produced in the free zones should come into the customs territory, that's into Nigeria, without payment of duty. Everything else will now be taxed duty and will be paid effectively as revenue generation into the economy. That's the first thing that will bolster the revenue that you're talking about. Also on the investor side, supporting them to make sure that they can work as a base to leverage the African Continental Free Trade Area to export across Africa and the rest of the world, which is the true effective rationale for having free zones in the first place. The second thing you talked about, incentives, again, the new tax act makes sure that all the incentives are now consolidated and that there's a developmental levy so that every business now has one charge and doesn't have to go through so many. And then it's just a facilitation for investors and for businesses to have a more coordinated ecosystem. So the private sector is quite responsive, and we want to thank the National Assembly for that important piece of work. And we look forward to 2026, and particularly making sure that the free zones achieve what they are meant to achieve, which is to make sure that our non-oil exports and our oil exports are facilitated, and we generate that much needed foreign exchange for the Nigerian economy. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that the ministry have... And the chairman have also mentioned a lot, especially in the area of MOU with France, that have been clear because my phone has been inundated with the same clip. I have received that clip more than 200 on my phone on this issue of MOU. And I want FIRS to please have a chat on national television to clarify these things to Nigerians. The public relations department of FIRS, or media department should do a lot of work to enlighten Nigerians, because I know by the January 1st, after you now turn to Nigerian Revenue Services, and with the kind of reforms that are coming, there will be a lot of issues. So I think there is need for FIRS at this moment to embark on serious enlightenment, so that Nigerians will understand the benefits of these reforms in our tax administration and tax management. With this, I want to thank my Vice Chairman and most distinguished colleagues. Your Excellency Oshomole, today I have seen that we were on the same level. We managed this thing on the same level. So I believe all of us, the same thing with my distinguished colleague with the long cap, we've not had any issue, I believe. I know you have questions, and those questions will be answered directly by the three-man ad hoc committee. With this, I will give my colleagues the opportunity to move for the adjournment with the distinguished senator.
Our chairman